Picture this. You wake up one morning, shuffle to the bathroom, and reach for your daily vitamin bottle just like you've done for the past 10 years. You shake out the familiar pills, swallow them with water, and feel virtuous. You're taking care of yourself, right? You're doing everything the commercials told you to do. But what if I told you that those innocent-looking pills might be slowly poisoning you? What if the very supplements you're taking to stay healthy are actually accelerating your decline, weakening your bones, damaging your nerves, and straining your heart? This isn't a scare tactic or clickbait. This is the uncomfortable truth that medical researchers have been uncovering. And it's a truth that could save your life. Let me take you on a journey through the hidden world of vitamins after 60, where good intentions meet devastating consequences, and where the line between health and harm is thinner than most of us ever imagined. By the time we're done, you'll understand why your medicine cabinet might need a complete overhaul. And, more importantly, you'll know exactly what to do about it. The truth begins with a simple question. When did we start believing that more is always better? For most of human history, our ancestors didn't pop pills every morning. They ate food, moved their bodies, and their bodies knew how to extract what they needed from the earth. But somewhere along the way, we decided that nature wasn't enough. We created synthetic versions of vitamins, concentrated them into capsules, and convinced ourselves that swallowing these compounds was the same as eating real food. For young bodies, this approach might work reasonably well. But after 60, everything changes. Your liver, which once processed toxins efficiently, starts to slow down. Your kidneys, which once flushed out excess minerals without complaint, begin to struggle. Your stomach produces less acid, making it harder to absorb nutrients from food and easier to accumulate what shouldn't be there. In essence, your body becomes more sensitive, more vulnerable, and less forgiving of mistakes. This is where the first danger lurks, hidden in plain sight on pharmacy shelves and in millions of medicine cabinets across the country. Vitamin A, in its synthetic form, called retinol, seems harmless enough. After all, we've been told since childhood that vitamin A is good for our eyes, good for our skin, good for our immune system, and in its natural form, found in carrots and sweet potatoes as beta-carotene. It absolutely is. Your body takes that beta-carotene and converts only what it needs into active vitamin A, then stops. It's a beautiful, self-regulating system that has worked for millennia. But synthetic retinol doesn't play by these rules. When you swallow a multivitamin containing retinol or retinol palmitate, your body has no choice but to absorb it. And because vitamin A is fat-soluble, it doesn't wash out in your urine like water-soluble vitamins do. Instead, it accumulates in your liver and fatty tissues, building up slowly over months and years like sediment in a river. Now imagine you're taking a standard senior multivitamin that contains 900 micrograms of retinol, thinking you're doing something healthy. You might also be eating fortified cereals for breakfast, or taking liver oil supplements because someone told you they're good for your joints. Each source adds to your body's vitamin A burden. Your liver, already working harder than it used to, tries to process this excess. But after 60, your liver's processing capacity has declined. The vitamin A that yesterday's liver would have handled efficiently now sits in your tissues, waiting. And as it accumulates, strange things begin to happen. Your skin becomes dry and begins to peel. Your hair grows brittle and starts to fall out. You develop joint pain that you attribute to arthritis. You feel dizzy sometimes, and your vision seems blurry. You mention these symptoms to your doctor, who might diagnose you with various age-related conditions, never suspecting that your trusty multivitamin is the culprit. Medical researchers have documented something even more alarming. Studies examining thousands of older adults have found that those with elevated vitamin A levels face a dramatically higher risk of atrial fibrillation. That irregular heartbeat that significantly increases stroke risk after 65. The mechanism is complex, but essentially, excess vitamin A interferes with vitamin D metabolism, affects calcium regulation, and promotes bone resorption. Your bones actually become weaker, not stronger. And the calcium that should be strengthening your skeleton ends up in your bloodstream where it doesn't belong. The tragic irony is that many people take vitamin A supplements specifically to maintain their health, unaware they're courting precisely the opposite outcome. The solution isn't to avoid vitamin A entirely. Your body genuinely needs it. But after 60, you need to be strategic. Skip the synthetic retinol supplements and instead embrace foods rich in beta-carotene, vibrant orange sweet potatoes, deep green spinach, bright carrots, and golden egg yolks. Let your body decide how much to convert. Trust the wisdom of your physiology over the marketing promises of supplement companies. Your body knows what it needs better than any pill bottle ever will. But vitamin A isn't the only micronutrient that turns treacherous after 60. Consider iron, that mineral we associate with strength and vitality. Throughout your reproductive years, if you're a woman, you lose iron regularly through menstruation. Men lose small amounts through the continuous shedding and renewal of cells. For decades, iron supplementation made sense for many people, especially those diagnosed with anemia. But after menopause in women and throughout older age in men, this equation flips dramatically. Without the natural iron drain that younger bodies experience, every bit of supplemental iron you consume has nowhere to go. It accumulates in your organs, particularly in your liver, heart, and pancreas, where it triggers a cascade of destructive oxidative stress. Think of iron accumulation like rust forming on metal. Just as rust eats away at metal structures, excess iron in your tissues generates unstable molecules that damage your cells. Over time, this oxidative stress contributes to accelerated aging of your tissues. Recent research has connected excess iron levels to multiple devastating conditions. Studies following thousands of older adults over years have found associations between elevated iron stores and increased risks of dementia. The mechanism appears to involve iron deposits in the brain, where they may contribute to neurodegeneration. Other research links excess iron to increased cardiovascular disease risk, liver damage, and even certain cancers. The relationship is complex and not entirely understood, but the pattern is clear. After 60, most people don't need extra iron, and taking it anyway courts serious trouble. What makes this situation particularly insidious is that iron overload produces symptoms easily mistaken for normal aging. You feel fatigued, but you're getting older. So isn't fatigue normal? Your joints ache? But doesn't everyone's joints ache with age? You're forgetting things more often. But memory decline is just part of aging, right? Except in many cases, these symptoms aren't inevitable at all. They're your body sending distress signals that excess iron is damaging your tissues. Genetic conditions like hereditary hemochromatosis can amplify these risks dramatically, with recent large-scale studies showing that older adults with certain genetic variants face substantially higher rates of liver disease, joint replacements, and even dementia. For most people, Though, the threat comes not from genetics, but from well-intentioned supplementation that their bodies no longer need. The path forward requires a fundamental shift in thinking. Before taking any supplement containing iron, get tested. A simple blood test measuring serum ferritin and transferrin saturation can tell you whether your iron stores are actually low, adequate, or already too high. Many older adults discover, to their surprise, that their iron levels are perfectly fine or even elevated despite no supplementation. If your levels are good, skip the iron. If they're high, work with your doctor to reduce them, potentially through therapeutic phlebotomy, essentially donating blood to lower iron stores. And pay attention to your diet. You'll still get plenty of iron naturally from lean meats, beans, and leafy greens without piling on excess through supplements your body can't handle. Now let's talk about calcium. And this is where the plot truly thickens. For decades, the message has been relentlessly clear. If you want strong bones after 60, you must take calcium supplements. Milk commercials, doctor pamphlets, bone health campaigns, all hammering home the same idea. Millions of older adults dutifully swallow calcium pills every day, convinced they're protecting themselves from fractures and osteoporosis. But here's what most people don't know. When you take calcium supplements after 60, especially when taken alone without the right complementary nutrients, that calcium often doesn't end up in your bones at all. Instead, it travels to places where it causes tremendous harm. Understanding why requires understanding how calcium metabolism changes with age. In your youth, your bones act like eager sponges, actively pulling calcium from your bloodstream and incorporating it into your skeletal structure. Hormones and growth factors efficiently direct calcium exactly where it belongs. But after 60, easy, this system becomes sluggish. Your bones absorb calcium less efficiently. The hormonal signals that once directed calcium traffic become weaker. So when you swallow a large dose of calcium from a supplement, your body struggles to know what to do with it. Some gets absorbed into bones. Yes, but much of it circulates in your bloodstream, looking for somewhere to settle. And where does it settle? Into your arteries, where it contributes to hardening and calcification of blood vessels. Into your joints, where it promotes stiffness and pain. Into soft tissues throughout your body, where it triggers inflammatory processes your body cannot easily reverse. Large-scale research studies have documented these risks with sobering clarity. Analysis of tens of thousands of older adults found that those taking calcium supplements had a significantly elevated risk of cardiovascular events compared to those not supplementing. The calcium was literally hardening their arteries from the inside, the very blood vessels they needed to stay flexible and healthy. Other research has shown increased risks of kidney stones, a painful and recurring condition. Perhaps most troubling is that many people taking calcium supplements don't actually achieve better bone density. Their bones remain fragile despite supplementation, while their cardiovascular health deteriorates. It's a lose-lose proposition. Yet millions continue this practice, unaware of the dangers. The reason calcium supplements often fail to strengthen bones relates to a crucial point. Calcium cannot work alone. It requires partners, cofactors that tell it where to go and what to do. Vitamin D3 helps your intestines absorb calcium from food and supplements. Without adequate D3, you might as well be swallowing chalk. But even with D3, you need vitamin K, a lesser-known nutrient that activates proteins responsible for directing calcium into bones and keeping it out of arteries. Think of K2 as a traffic cop. directing calcium where it belongs and away from where it causes harm. You also need magnesium, which balances calcium and prevents it from calcifying tissues inappropriately. Taking a calcium supplement without these partners is like trying to build a house by just dumping bricks in the yard. You have raw material, but no system for putting it where it's needed. The smarter approach focuses on whole foods, naturally rich in calcium, dark leafy greens like kale and collards, dairy products if you tolerate them, sardines with their edible bones, almonds, and chia seeds. These foods provide calcium in a matrix with other nutrients that help your body use it properly. If you need supplementation, ensure it's combined with adequate D3, K2, and magnesium. And remember that bone strength after 60 depends as much on physical activity as nutrition. Weight-bearing exercise, the kind that makes your bones bear your body weight, stimulates bone formation in ways no supplement ever can. Walking, gentle resistance training, Tai Chi. All these activities signal your bones to stay strong. Pills alone will never achieve what movement plus good nutrition can deliver. But if we're cataloging the supplements that betray us after 60, we must confront the most quietly devastating of all: high-dose vitamin B6, also known as pyridoxine. On the surface, B6 seems utterly benign. It's water-soluble, meaning any excess should simply wash out in urine. It supports energy production, nerve function, and countless metabolic processes. Supplement bottles tout it as supporting everything from mood to immunity. Many older adults take B-complex vitamins or energy formulas containing substantial B6 doses, never imagining they're courting neurological disaster. Yet the medical literature contains case after case of people, particularly older adults, who developed severe peripheral neuropathy from B6 toxicity. Their legs grew weak and unsteady. Their hands became numb and clumsy. They lost their balance and fell. They experienced burning, tingling sensations in their extremities. And many of these symptoms proved difficult or impossible to reverse. Even after stopping the supplements, how can a water-soluble vitamin cause such profound and lasting damage? The mechanism appears to involve the way B6 is processed in the body. While it's true that excess B6 can be excreted, high doses of the supplemental form, pyridoxine, can actually inhibit the enzyme responsible for activating B6 into its useful form. This creates a paradoxical situation where you have too much inactive B6 floating in your system, yet functionally not enough active B6 where you need it. The buildup appears to be particularly toxic to sensory neurons, the nerve cells responsible for feeling and sensation. Unlike central nervous system neurons protected by the blood-brain barrier, peripheral sensory neurons are exposed to whatever circulates in your blood. When they're bathed in excess pyridoxine for months or years, they begin to malfunction and eventually die. The symptoms often mimic diabetic neuropathy or other age-related conditions, leading many doctors to miss the diagnosis entirely. What makes this especially treacherous for older adults is that the toxic dose can be surprisingly low. The official safe upper limit is 100 milligrams per day. But case reports document neuropathy developing at doses as low as 50 milligrams per day when taken for extended periods. Many energy drinks, nerve support formulas, and B-complex supplements contain doses at or above these levels. Someone might take a B-complex in the morning, an energy drink at lunch, and a nerve support supplement at dinner, each containing B6, never realizing they're consuming several times the safe limit every single day. Older adults appear particularly vulnerable, perhaps because their kidneys clear vitamins less efficiently, or because their nerves are already more fragile and less able to tolerate toxic insults. And unlike some vitamin toxicities that reverse quickly once you stop supplementing, B6 neuropathy often persists. Some improvement typically occurs over months to years, but complete recovery is not guaranteed. The nerves remember their injury. The human need for B6 is actually quite modest, around 1.5 to 2 milligrams per day, easily obtained from foods like chickpeas, tuna, turkey, bananas, and fortified cereals. Unless you have a diagnosed deficiency, there's simply no reason to take high-dose B6 supplements. If you're currently taking them, especially if you've developed any numbness, tingling, or balance problems, stop immediately and consult your doctor. Check every supplement in your cabinet for B6 content. You might be shocked to discover how much you're actually consuming when you add up all the sources. The rule for B6 after 60 should be keep intake low, prioritize food sources, and treat high-dose supplements with the caution they deserve. Now, having navigated this landscape of nutritional hazards, you might feel discouraged. It seems like everything is dangerous, like there's no safe path forward, but that's not the full story. While some supplements betray us after 60, others become more important than ever. The key is knowing which ones truly matter, which ones your aging body genuinely needs, and how to use them wisely. This is where we pivot from caution to opportunity, from fear to empowerment. Let's start with magnesium, a mineral involved in more than 300 biochemical reactions in your body, yet chronically underconsumed by older adults. Magnesium keeps your heart rhythm steady, helps your muscles contract and relax properly, supports nerve function and brain activity, regulates blood sugar, and works alongside calcium and vitamin D to maintain bone density. As you age, your body absorbs less magnesium from food. Medications commonly prescribed to older adults, including blood pressure pills, acid reflux, and diuretics, actively drain magnesium from your system. The result is that many older adults operate in a state of subtle magnesium deficiency without realizing it. They attribute their symptoms to aging when really they're experiencing micronutrient insufficiency. What does magnesium deficiency look like? Trouble sleeping, particularly difficulty staying asleep, muscle cramps, especially at night in the calves, unexplained fatigue despite adequate rest, an irregular heartbeat or palpitations, constipation, mild anxiety or restlessness. When these symptoms are written out like this, they sound like a description of typical aging. But research has shown that correcting magnesium deficiency can dramatically improve or eliminate many of these complaints. Studies have linked adequate magnesium status to reduced risk of atrial fibrillation, that dangerous, irregular heartbeat we mentioned earlier. Other research connects good magnesium levels to better cognitive function, lower inflammation, improved insulin sensitivity, and reduced risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Some evidence even suggests magnesium may help prevent or slow age-related bone loss, working synergistically with calcium and vitamin D rather than in opposition. The challenge is getting enough. Excellent food sources include dark leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, almonds, avocados, black beans, and dark chocolate. But even people eating these foods regularly often don't reach optimal magnesium levels, partly because modern agricultural practices have depleted magnesium from soil. meaning even magnesium-rich foods contain less than they once did. This makes supplementation reasonable for many older adults. However, not all magnesium supplements are created equal. Magnesium oxide, the cheapest and most common form, is poorly absorbed and often causes diarrhea. Better choices include magnesium glycinate, which is gentle on the stomach and well absorbed, or magnesium citrate, also well absorbed, though potentially mildly laxative in some people. Magnesium malate is another good option. Most older adults benefit from around 250 to 400 milligrams of supplemental magnesium daily, taken with food to improve absorption and reduce any gastrointestinal upset. If magnesium is the unsung hero of minerals, vitamin D3 is the master regulator whose importance cannot be overstated. Technically a hormone rather than a vitamin, D3 influences nearly every system in your body. It partners with calcium to build and maintain bone density. It modulates immune function, helping your body fight infections while preventing autoimmune overreactions. It supports muscle strength and coordination, reducing fall risk. It plays crucial roles in brain function, mood regulation, and cognitive health. And mounting evidence suggests it may help protect against chronic diseases from heart disease to certain cancers. Yet, despite its importance, vitamin D deficiency is epidemic among older adults, particularly those living in northern latitudes, spending most time indoors, using sunscreen consistently, or with darker skin that produces less vitamin D from sun exposure. The reason older adults are vulnerable is partly biological. Your skin's capacity to produce vitamin D from sunlight declines dramatically with age, potentially dropping by more than half compared to your youth, even if you spend time outdoors. Your aging skin simply cannot generate as much vitamin D as it once did. Dietary sources are limited, essentially restricted to fatty fish, egg yolks, and fortified foods. Most people cannot possibly eat enough of these foods to maintain healthy vitamin D levels without supplementation or significant sun exposure. The consequences of deficiency are serious and well documented. Research has linked low vitamin D status to increased risk of respiratory infections, cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, depression, muscle weakness, falls, fractures, and all-cause mortality. A landmark study following tens of thousands of people found that those with the lowest vitamin D levels had substantially higher death rates from essentially every cause compared to those with optimal levels. Supplementation with vitamin D3, specifically cholecalciferol rather than the less effective D2 form, can correct deficiency and potentially prevent its consequences. Most older adults benefit from 1,000 to 2,000 international units daily, though some may require higher doses depending on baseline levels, body weight, and other factors. The only way to know your true needs is through blood testing, measuring your 25-hydroxyvitamin D level. The optimal range is somewhat debated, but many experts recommend targeting levels between 30 and 50 nanograms per milliliter. A crucial point, because D3 is fat-soluble. Always take it with a meal containing some healthy fat. A supplement swallowed with water on an empty stomach will be poorly absorbed, wasting your money and leaving your deficiency uncorrected. Taking it with breakfast that includes avocado, nuts, eggs, or olive oil dramatically improves absorption. Alongside D3, we must consider vitamin B12, the nutrient that keeps your nerves firing, your blood flowing, and your mind sharp. B12 is essential for producing red blood cells, maintaining the protective sheath around nerves, supporting cognitive function, and enabling proper metabolism. Deficiency leads to anemia, causing fatigue and weakness. It damages nerves, producing numbness, tingling, poor balance, and increasing fall risk. It impairs cognition, sometimes mimicking dementia so convincingly that doctors misdiagnose people with Alzheimer's when really they just need B12. And here's the cruel irony. B12 deficiency is common in older adults despite adequate dietary intake. The problem isn't usually what you eat, but your ability to absorb it. Vitamin B12, found naturally in food, is bound to proteins. To absorb it, your stomach must produce strong acid to separate the B12 from these proteins. But stomach acid production declines with age. Many older adults also take medications that suppress acid production, including proton pump inhibitors for reflux and antacids for heartburn. Others take metformin for diabetes, which interferes with B12 absorption through a different mechanism. The result is that even people eating plenty of meat, fish, eggs, and dairy may gradually become B12 deficient because their bodies cannot extract the vitamin from food efficiently. Meanwhile, their symptoms develop slowly, often attributed to normal aging rather than correctable deficiency. Supplementation with B12 can bypass these absorption problems, especially when using the right forms and delivery methods. Look for methylcobalamin or cyanocobalamin, both well-absorbed forms. Sublingual tablets dissolved under the tongue are particularly effective because the B12 enters your bloodstream directly without requiring stomach acid or intestinal absorption. Some people with severe deficiency need B12 injections initially, administered by healthcare providers, to restore levels quickly, once replete. Oral or sublingual supplementation typically maintains healthy levels. Most older adults benefit from 500 to 1,000 micrograms of B12 daily. Doses far higher than the official recommendation, but necessary because absorption efficiency is so compromised. The good news is that B12 is water-soluble and extremely safe. Your body excretes excess easily, so even large doses pose minimal risk. Finally, we arrive at omega-3 fatty acids, specifically the long-chain forms EPA and DHA found in fish oil. If there's one nutrient category that deserves the title of longevity nutrient, this is it. The evidence supporting omega-3 seconds for healthy aging is vast, consistent, and compelling. Study after study has shown that older adults with higher blood levels of EPA and DHA live longer, have fewer cardiovascular events, maintain better cognitive function, experience less inflammation, suffer fewer joint problems, and even preserve their independence longer than those with low levels. One particularly striking study followed more than 40,000 people and found that those with the highest omega-3 blood levels had dramatically lower death rates from all causes. We're talking about reductions in mortality risk of 30% or more, the kind of effects usually only seen with powerful medications. How do omega-3 seconds achieve these remarkable benefits? Through multiple mechanisms working simultaneously. In your cardiovascular system, EPA and DHA reduce triglyceride levels, a major risk factor for heart disease. They help maintain healthy blood pressure. They reduce inflammation in blood vessel walls, stabilizing atherosclerotic plaques and making them less likely to rupture and cause heart attacks or strokes. They influence heart rhythm, reducing risk of dangerous arrhythmias. In your brain, DHA is literally a structural component of neurons. comprising a significant percentage of brain cell membranes. Adequate DHA support neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections and adapt. It may help protect against cognitive decline and dementia, though the evidence here is more mixed than for cardiovascular benefits. Throughout your body, both EPA and DHA serve as precursors for specialized molecules that resolve inflammation, helping your body return to normal after inflammatory responses, rather than settling into chronic, low-grade inflammation that accelerates aging. The problem is that most older adults consume far too little omega-3, particularly EPA and DHA from marine sources, while plant foods like flax seeds and walnuts provide ALA, another omega-3. Human conversion of ALA into EPA and DHA is extremely inefficient, typically less than 10%. For practical purposes, if you want the benefits of EPA and DHA, you need to consume them directly from fatty fish or supplements. Major health organizations recommend that adults consume at least 2 servings of fatty fish weekly, equivalent to roughly 500 milligrams of EPA plus DHA daily. For people with cardiovascular disease or high triglycerides, higher intakes of 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams daily may be appropriate. Studies suggesting benefits for cognitive function often use doses around 1,000 milligrams or higher when choosing supplements. Quality matters enormously. Look for fish oils that have been tested for purity, specifically for heavy metals like mercury and industrial contaminants like PCBs. Reputable manufacturers will have their products independently tested and will display certifications on their labels. The molecular form also matters. Triglyceride form fish oils are more easily absorbed than ethyl ester forms, though both work. Check the label for actual EPA and DHA content, not just total fish oil. A 1,000 milligram fish oil capsule might contain only 300 milligrams of actual EPA plus DHA, with the rest being other fats. You need to know the active ingredient dose. Take your omega-3 supplement with food, ideally a meal containing other fats, to optimize absorption, and be patient. Unlike vitamin D or B12, where blood levels rise quickly, omega-3 incorporation into tissues takes weeks to months. Give your supplementation at least 2 to 3 months before judging its effects. So where does this leave us? We've journeyed through dangerous territory, uncovering vitamins that harm after 60 when taken carelessly. Retinol Form vitamin A accumulating in tissues and weakening bones. Supplemental iron, rusting your organs from within. Calcium hardening arteries instead of strengthening bones. High dose, Bassais poisoning, peripheral nerves. Yet we've also discovered protectors and enhancers, magnesium supporting 300 bodily processes. Vitamin D3, regulating immunity and bone health. B12, maintaining nerve function and cognition. Omega-3 seconds, extending lifespan and health span alike. The pattern is clear after 60. Generic, more is better. Supplementation is dangerous, but targeted. Thoughtful nutrition optimization is powerful. The path forward requires a fundamental mindset shift. Stop thinking of supplements as harmless. They're not food. They're biochemical interventions with real effects, both helpful and harmful. Start thinking strategically. What does your specific body need right now? Not what the supplement aisle promises or what your neighbor swears by, but what your personal biochemistry requires based on your diet, medications, health status, and blood tests. Get tested, vitamin D levels, B12 levels, magnesium, Arteries. Omega-3 index if available. Know your numbers. Then, supplement specifically to address documented needs, using forms and doses that make sense for older bodies. Prioritize food whenever possible, because whole foods provide nutrients in complex matrices that supplements cannot replicate. When you do supplement, choose quality over price, recognizing that the cheapest options are often poorly absorbed or impure. Clean out your medicine cabinet tonight. Look at every bottle with fresh eyes. Does it contain retinol or retinol palmitate? If you're not deficient, out it goes. Does it contain iron? Unless you have documented anemia, discard it. Is there calcium without K2 and D3 listed alongside it? Consider replacing it with a better formulation or getting calcium from food instead. Does any bottle contain more than 10 milligrams of vitamin B6? Unless specifically prescribed by your doctor for a diagnosed condition, it doesn't belong in your routine. Make room for what matters: a good magnesium supplement, vitamin D3 at a meaningful dose, B12 in sublingual or oral form, and a high-quality fish oil. These four, combined with a diet rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats, form the foundation of nutritional health after 60. But supplements alone will never be enough. Your body after 60 needs movement, weight-bearing exercise to maintain bone density and muscle mass, balance training to prevent falls, cardiovascular activity to keep your heart strong. It needs adequate sleep, that precious time when your body repairs and regenerates. It needs social connection, meaningful engagement with others, because loneliness and isolation accelerate aging as surely as any vitamin deficiency. It needs purpose, reasons to get up in the morning, projects and relationships and experiences that make life worth living. And perhaps most importantly, it needs you to be its advocate, paying attention to signals, questioning assumptions, demanding better information from healthcare providers, and refusing to accept preventable decline as inevitable. This is the moment of choice. You can continue as before, swallowing whatever pills seem convenient, hoping for the best, trusting that pharmaceutical companies and supplement makers have your best interests at heart. Or you can take control. You can educate yourself, test yourself, advocate for yourself. You can clear out what harms you and embrace what helps you. You can accept that aging is complex, that there are no magic bullets, but that thoughtful, informed choices compound over time into dramatically different outcomes. Your bones, your nerves, your heart, your brain, they're all listening. They're waiting to see what you'll do next. They're hoping you'll choose wisdom over marketing, knowledge over assumptions, action over passivity. They're ready to respond to better nutrition, to heal what can be healed, to preserve what can be preserved. But they need you to lead them there. So go now. Open your medicine cabinet. Read those labels. Make your list. Call your doctor and request those blood tests. Research which supplements you actually need. Order the high-quality versions. Clear out the dangerous ones. Then take the most important step of all. Believe that it matters, that you matter, that the choices you make today will echo through the years to come. Because they will. Your 80-year-old self is waiting to thank you for the wisdom you're showing today, waiting to enjoy the strength and clarity and vitality that comes from finally getting nutrition right. Don't make them wait any longer.